see that as being a good thing.
I see.
Now, on 19th of March, 1923, about 5 or 6 months after the discovery, Carnarvon suffered a mosquito bite, which he shaved off with a razor, and it became infected. And he died about 3 weeks later in the Continental Savoy Hotel in Cairo of blood poisoning.
Lesson, don't shave off mosquito bites, I guess.
Or don't pay for people to break into a tomb, whatever. Now, some other... Moving on to other people, and this is just going to be in no particular order, but those two I feel like you got to cover those if you're looking at your curse. Sir Bruce Ingham received a paperweight made from a mummified hand found by Carter in a tomb near Tutenkhamen's. Shortly after receiving this gift, his home burned down.
Why would you think that was a good gift to give? I'm sorry, what? Here, you're my friend. Have a dead man's hand. That even sounds like a pirate curse. Why would you think that's a good idea? That is strange. Go ahead.
People are strange, Mother.
People are strange when you're a stranger.
Yeah.
Now, George Gould, the guy that came to visit the tomb of the King Tut in 1923, he was struck with pneumonia the very next day. He never fully recovered from it, and he eventually died in the Riviera a couple months later. Aubrey Herbert, Lord Carnarvon's half-brother. A doctor convinced him that his degenerative eye disease was caused by his rotten teeth, which were interfering with his vision. So, Herbert goes to a dentist and has every one of them pulled out of his head.
Ugh, that's never fun.
I was just about to say funsies.
Well, he never regained his sight, and shortly after the dental surgery, he died of sepsis.
Well, yeah.
Hugh Evelyn White, the archaeologist who was consulted by Carter and helped him to excavate the site, he saw, I want to say, like 10 or 12 people who had died, and he believed were victims of the curse. He hung himself after writing, supposedly in his own blood, "I have succumbed to a curse that forces me to disappear."
Ooh.
Aaron Ember is a special case. The guy that had written, based on Carter's trip, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. His house caught fire at a dinner party. His wife told him to save his manuscript while she saved their son. The entire family died in that fire.
Yeah.
You tried so hard, but you didn't succeed.
Now, Richard Bethel was Lord Carnarvon's secretary. He was the first person to enter the tomb after Carter. He was staying in London. His home suffered multiple fires, so he took rooms at a popular and expensive gentleman's club. And mind you, back in this day and age, a gentleman's club was not what they are now. They weren't places where raunchy women stripped and, they were really clubs and kind of, in some cases, kind of hotels too. And there were butlers that would wait on your every need. It was expensive to belong, but there were benefits to it.
Right. And
Richard Bethel had taken rooms in this gentleman's club, where he's found strangled under suspicious circumstances.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be a little suspicious.
Sir Archibald Douglas Reed, the guy that x-rayed King Tut's body, got sick the following day, died 3 days later.
Well, this is going well for all of them, I hear.
Yes.
And James Henry Breasted, the man who discovered the cobra that ate Howard Carter's canary, he himself passed away 13 years later, shortly after another trip to England. Now, that is not the end of the curse. There is something I want to call the Crowley Option.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we will eventually cover him, but for now, Aleister Crowley was a man interested in magic. He was very famous for it. He was also famous for being not too nice of a person.
Yeah.
And we'll go into it, but basically he sort of was deep into sex magic. He made some cults. He was kind of a crazy guy. Or crazy like a fox. We're not sure which. Well, historian Mark Bainan wrote a book called London's Curse, Murder, Black Magic, and Tutenkhamen in 1920s West End. Now, this thing, to me, sounds like a modern-day Cthulhu adventure, right?
Right.
So, Bainan writes that certain deaths attributed to the curse of Tutankhamen were actually murders by Satanist Aleister Crowley.
I see.
According to Bainan, Crowley masterminded a series of ritualistic killings in revenge for Carter's opening of King Tut's tomb.
That seems like a reach to me, but okay.
Well, here, Ali Kamal Fahmy Bey, a 23-year-old Egyptian prince, was photographed visiting King Tut's tomb. On July 10th, 1923, he was shot dead by his wife, Marie Marguerite, in the Savoy Hotel in London. According to Bainan, Crowley and Marie Marguerite had been lovers, and Crowley persuaded her to carry out the shooting.
Well, you know.
Raoul Loveday, a 23-year-old Oxford undergraduate, was a follower of Crowley's satanic cult. Loveday died on the same day, 16th of February, 1923, at the same hour as Carter's opening of Tutankhamun's tomb. Loveday had drunk the blood of a cat sacrificed in one of Crowley's rituals. According to Bainan, Loveday was deliberately poisoned by the drink. Now,
okay, so just to stop you right there. If you're drinking anything from a Satanist, ritual, you at that point had taken on all fair chances to whatever is going to happen to you. I don't think that qualifies as a curse. I'm just saying.
I don't think Crowley qualifies as a Satanist per se. Partially because a lot of his beliefs were founded in Egyptian magic. And in fact, he himself thought that Horus spoke to him, and Horus is an Egyptian god. Was he in Satanist clubs for a while? Yes, he was. But he left them because he really just thought most of them were an excuse for rich people to act up and get away with doing stuff that they couldn't otherwise do. And he was just sort of annoyed with it. And to be fair, they were sort of annoyed with his sexual practices, which can be best described as
kinky.
As creepy. Creepy is the word I was going for.
Yeah.
Now, Aubrey Herbert, the belief is that Aubrey, the reason he got sepsis was that Crowley paid the dentist to not do the surgery correctly, to not seal him up right.
I gotcha. So
he would get sepsis.
Fair enough.
Now, Captain Richard Bethel was found dead at a posh club in Mayfair in London, as I said. His symptoms led to the suspicion that he had been smothered to death as he slept. Now, Crowley was in London at the time and was often a guest of novelist W. Somerset Maugham at that club. Bethel's father, Lord Westbury, reportedly kept artifacts from Tut's tomb in his St. James apartment in London. On 20th February 1930, the elderly Lord Westbury was believed to have thrown himself from the window of his seventh-floor apartment. Bainan suggests that Crowley threw him off. Bainan also suggests that Crowley was staying at the club with Mom and he's the reason. And he strangled Bethel. Edgar Steele was in charge of handling artifacts from Tut's tomb at the British Museum. On the 24th of February 1930, Steele died at St. Thomas Hospital after a minor stomach operation. Bainan speculates that Crowley was responsible for that as well. Sir Ernest Budge had been keeper in the British Museum's Department of Egyptian and Assyrian Antiquities. On 23rd November 1934, he was found dead in his bed in Bloomsbury in London. Bainan says there's evidence that Budge and Crowley were associates involved in the occult. Crowley was a fan of ancient Egyptians and their beliefs. Crowley wrote in his diaries that the sites of 5 Jack Ripper's murder in 1888 formed a pentagram. Bainan claims that the locations of 5 of Crowley's murders also form a pentagram. So that's the Crowley option, as I like to call it. Now, personally, I think it's a load of hokum.
Sure.
Crowley was an interesting fellow, and he certainly was not conventional, and he certainly would not spend much time out of jail in this day and age. But straight up murdering people who had discovered a tomb, I don't think is where it is in his wheelhouse. It wasn't the sort of thing that he would do. I don't think. I mean, I'm not saying he was a nice guy by any means, and I'm not saying he wouldn't kill some people, but I don't think it's in his skill set to do it and not get detected. So I have to disagree with Bainan.
Fair enough. Okay, then.
Is what I'm saying. It's not in his skills, in his wheelhouse. Now, something he was good at was assassinating people's characters. And if those people had all, been mocked in the popular press, okay, let's look at Crowley. But that is the information I get.
Okay, then.
In summary, this is what I will say. I think it's a fascinating case. It's a brilliant little bit of history. As for the curse, I want to believe in the curse so badly. But there was no writings in the tomb actually discovered that said anything about the curse in King Tut's tomb. Now, there are those that will tell you that it was a standing thing, that priests cursed those who would rob a tomb. And they didn't necessarily leave evidence of this. It was just a prayer, a spell they used,
Right.
And maybe some people were susceptible to it and some people weren't. I don't know. Like I say, it's something I desperately want to believe. Do I believe it?
Probably not.
I believe it more than I believe the Crowley option.
Well, that doesn't take much.
Call me 50% on the curse. Wanting to believe it takes me to 50%. I would need to see more actual evidence to say I agree. But that it's a curse and it's real and that it really happened. Because a lot of these deaths are just... It's like the house fire that the one couple that got them. If they had just done what they were supposed to do...
Right.
And left the house, they would have been fine.
Yep.
If they'd called the Sonny Boy, hey, get out, the house is on fire, and ran out with their dinner guests, probably would have been okay. And he could have rewritten the book. So it's just stuff like that that's just like, I don't know. I don't know if that's curse. That seems to me like stupidity.
Yeah.
So call me 50% on it. That's where I'm at with it. Krysta?
Hi.
Your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I thought Mom was doing her thoughts next, but...
Well, I happen to look at you, so... And besides, I kind of want to hear your mom's, because she's been over there with her fist on her cheek, like, I got something to say, and he's not going to like it when I say it.
Here's my
I don't
thing.
think that's fair, because I don't think that... Go ahead, Kristlyn.
Well, what were you going to say?
No, you're fine. Go.
I don't know what she was going to say. What were you going to say?
She was going to say that's not fair because she's going to say her own thing. You say your thing.
Okay.